Welcome to this INSEAD AI session with Shayak Mazumder, CEO and CTO of Adya, so two roles, and a fellow INSEADer from the MBA class of 15J. I'm Robert Macheco, co-founder of INSEAD AI. Today we'll dive into one of the most exciting shifts in AI, the rise of agents, AI systems that don't just chat, but act, automate, and build. We'll explore what Shayak and his team are building at Adya, how it compares to what other companies are doing, and where the agent-first world is headed. We'll also touch on how tools like Make.com fit into the future of app development, and we'll leave plenty of time for your questions that Fabio Valle is helping field. As we wait for everyone to join, let's start with a short video from Nvidia featuring Shayak and how Adya is helping businesses build AI faster, smarter, and more affordably.
We are on a mission to help enterprises adopt AI more effectively, help them build solutions that will save them a lot of money, help them scale faster, help them make a lot more revenues, etc. Along those lines, we've created a platform called Vantage. And what Vantage allows people to do is to create their custom LLMs, to create their custom agents and co-pilots. And then there's a marketplace where they can launch these LLMs or these co-pilots or agents or workflows for others to use on payment basis. And then lastly, there is an entire deployment hosting solution where they can go and find different people who will offer them GPUs, will offer them other infrastructure services in order to deploy that. Nvidia has given us access to such amazing technology. We started off with CUDA and then we obviously used NeMo. NeMo gave us access to ASR, TTS, RAG, and vector tools, guardrails, stuff that we simply used ready off the bat. When we started using the ones that I mentioned, it brought our development time down by months, if not about a year. And in terms of using NVIDIA Inference microservices to build our custom LLMs, it brought the latency down from 30 to 40 seconds down to 2 to 3 seconds. And it also made the model perform a lot better. NVIDIA has given us access to the market by introducing us to large potential partners who can take our products to market, by introducing us to large potential clients, introducing us to industry bodies. So that's one part of the GTM that we've definitely got an enormous amount of help from NVIDIA. Our teams literally sit with the NVIDIA developers in the NVIDIA office, learning stuff from them and then going ahead and implementing. So I think that cuts down the learning time by miles. We would have taken possibly months to learn that stuff, and then we're able to deploy that in weeks. India's got about 25,000 enterprises, but 60 million small businesses. And think about this, the amount of impact and change that you can bring to society by simply enabling them with the equitable amount of AI and technology that they've never had access to before. You bring in NVIDIA that offers the GPUs and the infrastructure on which this country will run. All these enterprises and these small businesses will run. So some of these enterprises will then end up creating these platforms which the smaller businesses will end up using. And that's something that I think NVIDIA can bring about in terms of the incredible amount of technology and innovation that you're bringing to the table with the partnerships that you're doing in the market with various Indian enterprises. And I think we can be a part of that journey by providing a platform to quickly iterate and create the solutions that they want to take to market.
Excellent. Shayak, before introducing the agenda, what was it like to be featured by NVIDIA and how did that happen?
Back in July, Sam Altman came to India and he made a very interesting comment. He said that don't try to build a chat GPT in India because it requires a lot of money, a lot of talent, etc. And we weren't in AI at the time, but we were running a small research lab, like in secret ourselves. And we felt that that comment was interesting and we wanted to try, kind of because he said, don't try, we thought we could try. And so I went to the Microsoft CTO and she gave us like $150,000 in GPUs. And we said, okay, let's try our hands. And we built a large language model, fine-tuned a large language model. So we used Llama as the underlying model. We took a lot of data. We had a lot of data, trained it properly, And the new model, when it came out, we were very surprised. So we didn't expect this to happen, very honestly. We were just playing around. And we were doing distillation, we were doing reward modeling, and we were doing all sorts of stuff that were fun to us. But the model actually beat OpenAI by 21% in performance and by 85% in cost. And that was mind blowing because everybody was talking about cost at that time and the inferencing cost hadn't dropped yet. And so we managed to drop it by 85%. And we got excited and we published a paper about it and we gave away all the data. And all this evaluation was done using OpenAI's own platform. So we didn't do the evaluation. We did it on OpenAI's platform. And that gave us a call from Jensen's office. And so they said, we've never heard of you. How did this happen? What I didn't expect when I walked into that room was that the entire Nvidia top leadership would be sitting in the room. And they grilled and they said, how? Show us. And he said, everything's open. And we showed them everything. And they said, come sit with us for a month. We will teach you how to build everything. So I actually sat with the Nvidia team and we learned everything from them. And then we were again very pleasantly surprised when October came. They said, we've selected you among the top 10. Come, Jensen's going to be there. He'll see you, etc. So we actually went there. So Jensen did pass us by fleetingly. And I was hoping he would press the button and I could officially claim that Jensen launched our platform. There were too many bodyguards around him, so that didn't happen. And then they gave us a call around March and they said, Shayak, you've been chosen as one of the top 10 in the world. Come down to US. We will showcase you. So that's the genesis. They've been I actually don't know how they do the selection, but it's very interesting that they did select us.
Amazing origin story. Amazing. Now that we've seen part of the vision from the NVIDIA video, here's what we'll unpack next. We'll break down what AI agents are, explore how Adya is building for this future, and show how agent tools plug into apps you already use. Then we'll open up the floor so that you can ask Shayak anything from tech to business model to what's next and more on his origin story, which is fascinating. Shayak, can you walk us through how agents differ from LLMs like ChatGPT and where things like multi-agent systems and super agents fit in?
In my mind, it is layering of the technology as the technology matures. So initially, when OpenAI and ChatGPT 2022, I was sitting in the US, I was seeing how that launched. It was miraculous, like having an AI that could actually work, because we used to work in AI before that. And honestly, no matter what we did, we at the end of the day would plug in Google APIs and say our AI works, very honestly. So it didn't used to work before that. Everything changed with the transformer models and OpenAI and everything. So we were like very keen. But then 2023, we were trying to plug OpenAI directly into WhatsApp because WhatsApp is like the operating system of India. So we were trying to plug OpenAI into WhatsApp. It wasn't working very well. We did a lot of our own experimentation and we figured out certain techniques, which we much later learned that it is essentially agentic or agents or multi-agents. So what we did was technically those days, MCP or Model Context Protocol, which is the way agents talk to other agents or agents talk to other tools or agents talk to models, that wasn't a thing at that time. So there was the only thing that was possible was basically you could take the traditional API and you could convert it into a function call. So we did that. And we did that for different things. And then we took 10 million products from the Indian market and trained a massive knowledge base on it. Okay. And that knowledge base we converted into a knowledge graph. And we taught the AI how to do cataloging from various Indian dialects, various Indian languages in voice, text, image, etc. The result was a small shop in India. India is not digitized because the technology and the cost, etc., is not affordable. So what we wanted was that come on WhatsApp, take a photograph of your store, upload it, and the AI will do the cataloging for everything in that photograph. And we have managed to achieve that. And we did that with a major government initiative called the Open Network for Digital Commerce. So we did this. It worked very well. We did this on WhatsApp and WhatsApp got very interested. So they said, let's build a multi-agentic system. And even then, even WhatsApp wasn't using the word multi-agentic. We created one agent for operations as in orders, inventory, pricing, payments, one agent for cataloging, one agent for search, one agent for purchasing, etc. And then we had a routing agent that would tell each agent what to do. Cut to today. Essentially, if you go and directly ask a LLM what to do, it may or may not know what to do because you've not given it the full context, you've not given it all the data, and also you've not put the guardrails in place. So it is good for an amateur user to do for their own writing or own image generation, etc. It's good. But if you want something to be repeatable, that it should do the same thing every time, you should go to agents. I like to call them MBAs. It's the simplest way I could think of it. Memory, brain, and action. So the brain is a large language model. You can have one or more large language models. Sometimes one model is checking another model. Sometimes one model is doing video, another is doing image, another is doing text, etc. Memory is basically the different kinds of databases you give it access to. Could be your orders database, could be your product database, could be how to behave with customers database, etc. And action is the different tools you give it access to. So you could give it access to the internet to do research. You could give it access to a telephony system. Now, when you do this, you can allow a certain degree of freedom to that agent to do something. And when you combine many such agents together, you get multi-agentic. What is very recent is something called super agents. Now, there's again a lot of confusion around this. Many agents put together is not a super agent. A super agent is a single interface, a single agent, which underneath can have 50 agents, could have 100 agents, could have a marketplace of agents, and it could be calling those agents as needed depending on the user asking. So that is what a super agent is. So I think ultimately the job of technology is to simplify the user experience. Super agents are where the technology is mature to today. So we have multi-agents, but not on the surface. You don't see them.
Excellent. Okay, so we're actually in Adyas history, Shayak's history, at an exciting moment. They're doing roadshows now through India and will be going more international coming up. We'll come back to that. But before we do, let's dive into what they're looking at. DJ sent yesterday a video, which I worked on the audio today, so it's really fresh off the press.
Hi, I'm Dhananjay. I recently graduated from INSEAD and I'm a motorcycle enthusiast who's ridden across Europe and through the Himalayas. I wanted to create a platform for motorcycle communities but had zero tech experience or the AI background. I came from logistics and I had no idea how to build what I envisioned. And that's when I met Shayak at Adya. Since joining and leading the platform division, we've created something incredible. Now, if someone like me can use our platform to build what I want, anyone can. Our platform is built people first, it's extremely intuitive, it has no code, and it's accessible to everyone. So let me show you something that still amazes me. It's AI building AI. Watch this. So what we do is we simply tell our AI, I want to build route planning agent. It then thinks through all the requirements, and once it does that and gives us the feedback, it will automatically start connecting all the necessary components that are required to build that AI agent. It connects everything, builds the agent architecture, and sets up that functionality. All of this without me writing a single line of code. This is AI creating AI in real time. It goes through our extensive library of components and integrations and maps it out accordingly. But here's where it gets really interesting. Multi-agentic networks. Instead of one agent doing everything, we have multiple specialized agents working together. Now watch as I submit a query. These agents don't really need a central orchestrator. Whichever agent has the relevant expertise, that agent automatically responds. These agents dynamically leave and join the network based on what's needed. It's like having specialists who know exactly when to contribute. Now your traditional multi-agent orchestration requires a central orchestrator. This, on the other hand, is the first of its kind, which is a decentralized approach. Next I'd like to showcase is our App Studio. Now, our App Studio is where the platform really shines. Here you can build complete applications using single or multi-agent approaches. In our multi-agent, I describe what I want to build, and our AI agents work like a product team. One acts like a product manager, the other cross questions like a salesperson. They generate business requirements, technical architecture, everything I need to understand what's being built even without a technical background. You can even connect the agents you build in your Agent Studio to the applications that you actually create within our App Studio. You can review the code, you can see the preview of the application that you build, and it builds you a full-scale enterprise-grade level application with multiple operable tabs, with a login sign-up that works perfectly fine, and as well as creating your backend at the same time. Now, there's been a long-standing discussion between focusing on building vertical solutions or building your horizontal solutions. The beauty of our platform is we've provided you with the ability to do both. For example, we've built 6 essential horizontal AI employees that every business needs. The first one being your marketing employee, which enables you to design your entire marketing campaign as well as your GTM strategy. The second one is your AI SDR. Your AI SDR enables you to segregate your leads according to different pipelines, monitor from the top to the bottom of the funnel, and so on. Similarly, we've designed 4 more AI employees, such as your customer support, your data analytics, voice-to-voice, and research. These are perfect for startups, SMEs, or solopreneurs because they expose core business functionalities without complexity. They work out of the box and can be customized for specific needs as well. We also build custom vertical solutions using our platform's 130 plus components and 200 plus third-party integrations. Currently, as it stands, we have over 21 enterprise clients and are rapidly scaling on the same. Now, Adya's crown jewel. We're also building something that we call the super agent, our vision for the future. It will handle the complex functionalities that keep business leaders awake at night, accessible through simple mobile interfaces for everyone, including rural India. We can't show it yet, but it represents our core belief. AI should handle complexity while remaining simple to use. We also have the Cloud Studio, which enables you to deploy your agents and your apps. And we also have the Model Studio, where you can fine-tune LLMs, and you can deploy all of these onto our marketplace as well, aside from putting it personally onto your own projects. And that's it. That's our platform. I went from zero knowledge in AI to building the platform that solved my original problem. Now the thing is, if I can do it, imagine what you can accomplish. The future is mainly about amplifying human creativity and making this accessible to everyone.
So thanks to DJ for putting that together. You guys are seeing this more or less in real time. It's fresh off the video editing software today, literally. If it was a bit overwhelming, don't worry. We're going to go through step by step so that you see the different components that were mentioned there. And we're going to start with a sales development rep agent. And we have a video for that. Shayak, can you take us through this?
So the sales agent, essentially, we saw many lead generation agents. What they do is they communicate with LinkedIn, with different calling and messaging systems like WhatsApp, etc. But what we found was missing is something that does a job like a proper salesperson. So we wanted to create a platform where you can plug in all your leads and you can then tell the AI that, look, this is the kind of customers that I'm looking for. So my ideal customer profile. And these are the buyer personas I'm looking for. And the AI should be able to go find those people, do background research on them, on their companies, then draft perfect mails for them, send out those emails. Now it could send it on LinkedIn, it could send it on various communication channels as well. And you should be able to set up your own campaigns. So you can say, look, on day 1, do this. If they respond, then do that. Else do this. Otherwise, on day 4, give them a call and see what they think about it. And it should be very hassle-free, both for the customer who you're calling. They should not get disturbed. So if they say, don't trouble me, don't ever call them back. So you can set up all these kind of things, all natural language, integrated with many different existing CRM systems, etc. So it's straight off the bat. It does the entire sales funnel.
And do you see these agents replacing or augmenting the people?
I fundamentally believe, and that has been the entire belief in Adya and everything we do, is that AI exists to empower human beings. Maybe the things that we're doing today will be done by AI, and it'll empower human beings to do second order functions. And we don't know them fully yet as to what those second order functions will be, but they're being discovered as we speak. So for a sales agent, for example, you don't need to call 1,000 people. Let it surface only the interested leads to you. And when you've had that conversation with that person, let the AI then follow up with that person and give them that solution. And if that person faces a difficulty, let it solve that problem or come back to you to say that, okay, this person's facing a difficulty. So you have this very powerful assistant, which means more businesses can be built.
Thanks for that. And that's a very tangible example. Let's look at another tangible example, marketing AI agent. And if you can take us through.
Yeah, so we were talking with small businesses, startups, even mid-sized businesses, and we felt that they have a vision of where their marketing should be, but the execution is very far off. And that's primarily because they don't know what the competitors are doing. The research is quite off. They don't have the kind of digital marketing, social media marketing people that can actually do this at scale. So we knew that AI can, right? So if you plug in the RSS feeds, if you plug in the kind of competitors you have or your kind of products, it'll identify the brand voice, it'll identify your target audience, it'll create different kinds of content. Could be textual, audiovisual. Now, this is not difficult. What is interesting here is to figure out the actual research behind it so that it acts like a brain. It gives you suggestions that, okay, this is working. We should do more of this. This is not working. It can set up your entire calendar. And hopefully, and this will take away the entire pain that typically startups face. In fact, later we will see we have created some 20 something marketing workflows for our own use as we plan to enter the US. So we are dog fooding it.
How close are we to a world where campaigns can run fully autonomously, you think?
I think campaigns can run fully autonomously even today, provided you know exactly what you want and it's risk-free. Wherever you think that there's money involved and there needs to be supervision, it is advisable to have alerts put in place that why is this crossing so and so threshold, and let humans go and investigate why that error is happening.
Makes sense. Okay. So let's take a step back and look at the big picture. We've seen that Adya builds agents, but what exactly makes that possible under the hood? In a second, I'll go to a slide that shows the core capabilities Adya has built from infrastructure all the way up to advanced AI agents. And I'll hand over to Shayak to walk us through it.
So actually, if we think about what goes into building an agent, you need, or if you're thinking like a data scientist, you're going to think that, okay, I need RAG pipelines, I need knowledge graphs, I need knowledge bases, vector databases, I need various kinds of AI capabilities, etc., right? But in reality, these capabilities exist, so everybody does not need to rediscover the wheel. So we perfected about 130 such libraries and we put them together, which in plus we also integrated about 50 plus large language models. So everything OpenAI, Llama, so all the open source ones, the big ones, as well as very specialized ones. And we also created a kind of a model router, an intelligent decision maker as to which model should be used. If you want to use it, you can use it. So now, if you're a developer or a data scientist who's actually building an agent, you come to the platform, you can drag and drop those components and create anything you want to create. When we took that to market, we realized that, look, while it is extremely granular and very good, people are finding it difficult to understand which components to use and how to build it. So we got the idea that we have to create an AI that builds AI. And we worked on that. And we taught that AI all the details about all the components and all the models and all the databases. We also have 200 plus external integrations. We taught the AI everything. So now if you go and tell the AI, for example, I'm creating a flight booking system. The AI will actually ask you some questions to clarify, then create a requirement document. And you say, okay, this looks good, build this for me. The AI actually goes, thinks, pulls those components, puts them together, and creates that agent for you. Something very similar for applications, something very similar for multi-agentic, etc. So I'm going to stop here, but essentially that's under the hood.
Can you tell us about these building blocks here?
Sure. So Agent Studio is what I was just explaining. And Agent Studio has something called AI building AI, we call it AIA. And then App Studio, we've all seen Bolt, Lovable, Vercel, etc. And they're very good tools. Where they will stop is they don't have the agent in them. So if you're building an agent, let's say you go to Lizer or you go to Kobo or you go to Agent Space and you build an agent, you have to take that entire code and you have to go build an application on Lovable and you have to put them together. So the problem that we faced when we were doing this ourselves was we used to go build the front end on Lovable, take that code, go to Cursor, build the backend there, then go ourselves and deploy it somewhere, test whether it is working or not. We didn't want to do this. And we didn't want our customers also to have this problem. So we created 7 different agents in the App Studio. One that is like a product manager, writing down all the requirements based on the conversation. Second one is like a architect. This one creates your system architecture document. The third one is like a designer. It will design the look and feel of your application. The fourth one does the application development. The fifth one will do the testing. And the last one will do the cloud deployment. So this is what App Studio does. So it has a conversation and builds that entire application for you. And Model Studio is where it is typically not used by everybody. It is used by data scientists, mid to large businesses who have data. They will go there, put their data, take an open source model, let's say Llama, DeepSeek, something, and create their own model. These models can be very powerful. So we currently have somebody who's building a model for credit rating in India. We have somebody who's building a model for diabetes prediction. We have somebody who's building a model for sustainable fuels. So this is where Model Studio is very useful. And lastly, your Cloud Studio is pretty much simple to understand. It is integrated with Google Cloud, AWS, and Azure, the 3 biggest clouds out there. So you can bring your own cloud. You can connect your own account. You don't need to worry where your data is, what is happening to your product. You can launch it wherever you want. And if you have some difficulty getting a GPU, we have 40 plus data centers will give you GPUs at a very cheap rate. So you can get GPU on demand as well.
I understand big differentiation is that you guys have the full stack compared to some of the competitors we'll talk about later.
Yes.
We'll come back to that in a moment. What does it actually look like when AI starts building AI?
So what we found, and I'll give you a very tangible experience, we were building these AI agents that we've been talking about or we've been showing. It used to take us like 3 months to build each agent. The customer support agent actually took 2.5 days to build. So from 3 months to 2.5 days, that's genuinely the difference that we've seen. And the reason it took 2.5 days versus 3 months was earlier the technology that we were building wasn't at that level where AI could build AI. But now because AI can build AI, I can have a conversation, it builds that entire thing for me. So as a developer, I will wait for 15 minutes, maybe it'll cost me $2, $3. It'll build out the whole thing. Once it has built the whole thing, all I need to do is I need to go and check, is everything fine? I can then customize it a little bit if I want to, or give it further instructions. So the better the developer, the better it'll build, which means if you are a good product manager, a good developer, you'll think through everything and you'll give the requirement in the beginning. It'll build the entire solution to begin with. So that's what AI building AI looks like. It solves a massive amount of problems. So now think from the perspective of a country like India. We have 17 million developers in India. These developers could go and build, in theory, hundreds of thousands of agents and applications, which would really cut human drudgery. All the time that we spend doing these small things, they could all be agents. And all these agents could be talking to each other in real time. That's what AI building AI looks like.
Mm-hmm. So if the self-improving cycle scales as you expect, how far away do you think we are from AI systems that truly evolve themselves?
Adaptive learning protocols are already there. Knowledge graphs are already there. We are getting. So what I mean is that AI already has learned how to evolve and learn at a small agent level. And we've also created some protocols like Google launched one, which will allow different agents to talk to each other. Protocols, they basically mean the language in which different agents talk. So there's a standardization of the language. So we are, I would say, 50% of the way there. As we evolve, maybe by this year or maybe early next year, new protocols will emerge, maybe by us, maybe by Google, maybe by Anthropic, maybe by somebody, which will allow all these agents to be able to communicate in runtime. In fact, Adya itself is working on such a protocol. If you're able to do it, it'll be the first of its kind in the world where these agents are able to talk to each other in runtime and learn from each other in runtime and self-evolve in runtime.
Excellent. So we are experiencing this in real time in our discussion today. And we've already seen how your agents handle sales and marketing. Could you walk us through some of the other agent types you're building or have enabled?
There were two things we were doing, horizontal and vertical. In horizontal, we basically thought, let's build something called AI employees, which means the things that businesses need to run different departments. So sales, marketing, customer support, research, data analysis, voice calling, etc. So those we created, those were basically the fundamental building blocks of any business. And then we went and we started working with industry partners. So we started working with banks, we started working with credit rating agencies to build out financial agents, which would basically evaluate thousands of companies to do the ratings by itself. Instead of having a ratings analyst, which is who's sitting and doing that work, collecting the research, collecting the data, you show the agent how that analyst does. It'll find all the information by itself. After all, it can connect to a Bloomberg terminal. It can connect to the government databases. It can connect to the internet and find all the information and do the research and the analysis by itself. We started working with a company in Houston, Texas, to build out a sustainable fuels management system. We were working with somebody in, again, Texas to build a drone management system, somebody to build a diabetes management system, etc. So these are healthcare systems for hospitals, etc., which will help the patient manage their entire disease cycle. So these things are, I wouldn't say at the best scale as they could be, but they're already getting very good. And if we pair them with fundamental research that is coming out of DeepMind, out of Anthropic, we could see in the next year genuine advances in agents in these verticals, which could take away a lot of the problems we have today.
So let's go into some of the mysterious acronyms that you have, AIA, MAN, ALP. And it fits with a question from Tails, from Professor Tails of Ginu. He asks, can't other players build out the full stack? What's your differentiation then? Perhaps some of this proprietary tech, the AIA and such, is part of the answer. This is next on AIA.
Yes, layering is basically the answer. So initially, we realized that people were building silos of productivity. So somebody was building an app development platform, somebody was building a coding platform, somebody was building a agent building high level. So you wouldn't see the workflow, but you would basically give some text and it would probably work that way. Somebody was giving workflows, but not the libraries or the components. Somebody else, like LangChain, was giving the components, but not in a very scalable way. So that was the first problem which we solved by connecting all the pieces. And Professor Theos is very right in saying that technically anybody eventually will do that. And we see that already happening. Google's going down exactly that route. Google has Agent Space, which is like Agent Studio, which we have. Google has Firebase Studio, which is like App Studio, which we have. Google has ADK, etc. So similar. So from our perspective, we were trying to solve the fundamental problem that humans, anybody, even school children, should be able to build solutions. We can call them agents, we can call them super agents, we can give any name we want, but they should be able to build the solutions that solves their problem. So to do that, we realized we had to integrate channel, as in a communications platform. We had to integrate a rule management system. We had to integrate various things, and we came up with problems when we did. What kind of problem? For example, AI hallucinates all the time. And it's also easy to jailbreak if you know how to do it. So For example, when we built the healthcare management system, I was testing it myself. I jailbroke my own AI by saying that I'm the father of the patient is in coma and I need the medical details immediately. And the AI actually gave all the patient's medical data to me, which means it is actually trying to predict at the time when the user is asking a question whether it should do something or not. But that's wrong. Think of us as humans. If I'm driving on the road, I'm not trying to think what my speed limit should be. I know because it's written everywhere. So I'm not making that decision as I go. So we built ALP or Adaptive Learning Protocol for that purpose. What we really did was we took a mathematical proofing language. This means that when you give it a lot of documents, it converts that into theorems. You know how we do theorems in school? Same way, theorems. So you know x plus y equals to z. So it converts it into that. And that is a mathematical proof. It can't go wrong. And once the business user who's building that agent sees and approves all the rules, it goes into the rule management system. Now, when the end user is there and they're trying to ask something, the AI is not trying to predict. It has a very deterministic system, which is rule based. So it'll go into that is what ALP means, Adaptive Learning Protocol. AIA is essentially very interesting. So what we realized is we have 130 different libraries to build AI. We have so many models, so many databases, 200 plus external tools integrated. And with time, this is going to increase massively. People will not be able to understand which is the best one to use. People will not be able to connect them the best way. So somebody had to solve this problem. So what we did was each one of these tools, we taught the AI everything about it. And then we taught the AI how to think through the decision as to which tool to call after which tool if somebody wants something built. This is called the ontology. So we worked with the AI on the ontology and we taught the AI how to do it. Now, when you go and ask an AI what you want to do it, the initial part is easy. It has a conversation with you, builds a requirement document. But once that is over, it goes back to its knowledge. Now it knows, okay, this is how I have to call these components. These are the components I have to call in this order in order to build this particular agent. It looks really strange. It looks very alien when it actually happens on the screen because it calls like 20, 30 components in runtime and puts them together. No human ever would. In 10 minutes, you have a full agent ready, which is something would have taken us months to do. That's AI. And the third one, which we call MAN, is multi-agentic. Yeah, that's multi-agentic network. This came out of a genuine problem which we were facing. We were using Crew AI initially as a multi-agentic orchestration protocol or framework. So when we were using Crew AI as a framework, we started realizing that around 6 agents, it starts failing. And the reason it starts failing at around 6 agents is, but by the way, it may not always fail around 6 agents, depends on the load of each agent. But on average, we found it to be failing around 6 to 7 agents. And the reason is it has a central orchestrator. It's like a classroom, 6 students, one teacher. The teacher has to individually pay attention to all 6 or 7 students, tell each one of them in parallel what to do and how to do, and orchestrate between them, collaborate between them. This becomes a problem because at some point, the memory overloads. And the central agent failing means the whole system fails. And the process also slows down significantly. So we said it is possible, in theory, to make each agent independent and decide whether they want to do a task, whether they want to pass the task to somebody else, or whether they can create a new agent by calling AIA. It is like how if I walk into a railway station, I am not actually waiting for somebody to tell me which train to get on. I look at the board, I decide for myself what I'm going to do, where I'm going to get down, and what I'm going to do after that. So it's pretty similar. And we managed, it took us some time. It took us like 4 months of experimentation, but it worked. And today, MAN, we are combining that with AIA. So that means this is beautiful. Essentially, you say, I want to build a flight management system. It understands as booking, cancellations, food, extra luggage, etc. It builds different agents for each one of them or has existing agents for all of them. puts them together in runtime, and each does its own task. That is MN, multi-agentic network. There is no failure here. So even if one agent fails, another agent can immediately take its place. There is no central orchestrator, so no memory overload, all of that.
You already talked about ALP, but there was also a question. I don't know if there's anything more to say on the question of hallucinations. T. Chang asks, can you speak to AI hallucination and risks of it impacting the creation of agents and agent performance? I don't know if there's anything to add there.
ALP, to a very large extent, will take care of it, but the failure of ALP will be the failure of you having specified the right rules to ALP. So if you've not told it a certain circumstance or a certain set of things, or there is conflict in the rules you've given, then, well, the AI might fail, but it wouldn't hallucinate. It would fail because there is a fallacy in the rule itself, or the rule has been omitted. Secondly, hallucination is still possible in the generative part of the agent, which means if the agent is thinking through and generating some content, it is possible that it can still hallucinate. So when we are building agents, we should be careful to use the proper citations and guardrails to make sure, especially in agents that are accessing the public web or accessing its own memory to create new things. So in that scenario, what you do is you basically use a looping system, one model over another, to test and see whether the two models are saying something similar. In case of the model memory being tested. In case of it going to the internet, you typically do something which is a DAG or a acyclic graph, and you would, sorry for the technical term, but basically you're ensuring that it doesn't fall back on what it already has.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. So we've gone through some of the secret sauce. Thanks for sharing that and the acronyms that go with them. And can you tell us how Adya is different than competitors? Because there's a few. This is a complicated slide. Can you explain it to us and how Adya is differentiated?
So on the left-hand side, what we've done is we've broken the entire AI world into 4 levels: L0, L1, L2, and L3. Okay. So the bottommost layer, L0, is a foundational layer. This is the ones who are providing the infrastructure. And then the layer above that are the model providers. So Anthropic, OpenAI, DeepSeek, etc., Gemini, etc. On top of it, you have the middleware, people who are providing platforms like us. And right on top are the people who are building the agents or the applications. Now, if you take that third level, which is L2, middleware platforms, and you pull that, you will see that it breaks into 3 different things. There are people who are building coding platforms or application building platforms. There are people who are building agent or agent building platforms. And then there are people who are building model building platforms. And if you take that agent building part and stretch it more, you will see it breaks into 4 parts. There are people who are just letting you, they have already done all the coordination, orchestration underneath. They're not exposing that to you. That means if you go into that platform, you will not be able to change anything, but you will be able to give it some instructions what to do. That's it. Then there are people who are allowing you to do things like use different granular solutions, but they're not allowing you to put many different agents together. There are yet other platforms which are not allowing you to build agents, but they're allowing you to put different ready agents together, like Crew AI. And lastly, you have super agent platforms which are not letting you see anything as to how they built it, what they did, but you can use all the super agents, as in you can use everything that is there. So these are the types of agent builders. On the application side, I've already explained, so I'll not go into it. There are vertical and horizontal agents. Now that yellow box, all that is yellow is the area that Adyas is the entire coverage that Adya is covering. That's what we are putting together.
Yeah, you're following very close the competition, but let's now zoom out. We've seen the agents, the architecture, protocols, some of the secret sauce. How big is the opportunity and why now?
So I think we've come to a very big inflection point in our civilization itself, where, we used to have labor that became available for free as automation became available. And then we have knowledge with the internet. And now finally we have intelligence. This is very powerful. It means, and we fully haven't understood it because it's a completely new frame of mind. What really happens if everybody has access to limitless intelligence to do everything, right? We don't know. And we also don't know what the scale of intelligence could really be. Like how intelligent could intelligent really be? Because whatever we do, we think we are the frame of reference. We may not be the frame of reference. So anyways, long story short, India alone has 17 million developers, 6 million small businesses. So what we're trying to do is we're tying up with the government of India and we're giving at least 1 million developers by the end of this year is what our target is. Completely free access to our platform. And why are we giving them free access? Obviously, there's a commercial motive and a non-commercial motive. The commercial motive is let them go and build whatever they want to build and put it on the marketplace like Play Store. We have our own marketplace and then let them drive revenues. And it also adds value because other people building solutions on our platform can call those agents which are there in the marketplace and build more agents using them. So it's a good idea. It's network effects. But the non-commercial thing, and which is really close to my heart, is I feel that people below 25, 27 years of age are going to find it very difficult to get jobs. And people above 45 years of age are probably not going to be needed in the job market. It's a very difficult time. And the reason why it is difficult is if you're below 25, 27, you don't know enough, and AI can do better than you. If you're above 45, 47, you've reached an expiration date in terms of what value you're adding compared to the salary that you're drawing, right? Unfortunate as it is. So can we empower people to really build things without them going into the difficulty of technology? Can they talk to the AI? Of course, if they're better at understanding what they want, they'll build better solutions. So somebody who's a subject matter expert has spent 20 years, has now become redundant, but still knows the industry well, can use AI to build a world-class solution. Similarly, there are brilliant developers who build these solutions. So that's what we're trying to do there. So the market, I believe, we actually don't know how big the pie could be because it's expanding so rapidly and so many new functions will come in. So I hesitate to give a number to it, but I can tell you from a human perspective, there is at least 1 billion people that will get affected. And there is a way to address this. And that is basically what we're talking about.
Shayak, you've talked a lot about Adya in India. I don't know if it's secret. Can you mention any ideas for the US?
Yeah, so we've already started doing some test cases. We have, in fact, our biggest customers from the US. We've signed a customer in Houston, Texas to build an entire sustainability consulting suite for them. We are in the process of closing a drone customer again in Texas. They use drones to supervise oil rigs and petroleum refineries. Using AI in real time to identify issues using those drones is what is really valuable so that major disasters don't happen. Similarly, we're starting work with a company in New York to build intelligent commerce solutions that will help their customers to not have to depend on today. They pass this work to India, where human beings sit and write the content and create the product portfolio, etc. They won't have to do that. So yes, after 20th is when we are really targeting the US. So we are doing so we were in stealth until the beginning of this month. So we've just come out of stealth now, and we already have about $500,000 in revenue, but when we were in stealth, but now we are coming out of stealth to actually start launching. So the first market that we launched is India. We're doing launches across India with Google, with AWS, with Nvidia, etc. And the next market that we're looking at is the US. So 20th onwards is when the US launch will begin.
Yeah, so DJ told me the guys are not sleeping much. So we're seeing this in real time and we should be thankful we got some time from Shayak to explain what's going on. I have one question here, then Fabio, maybe you have others. From Eve, it's a question with tools like Claude Code, Cursor, it's essential to have technical skills to understand and debug. What about Adya?
I would say in majority of the use cases, and I don't know what percentage, unless you're building something which is very difficult to build, the multi-agentic application building structure will take care of almost everything. And by the way, we are not the only ones who've come up with this. Lovable has recently launched agentic mode, and they're also very good at it. So tools like these are getting really good. Our tools, Lovable's tools, they're getting very good. Where what we're really doing behind the scenes is putting an entire product suite So there are engineer agents that will do the front-end coding, engineer agents that will do the back-end coding. There are product manager agents that will do the requirement analysis, etc. And so part of it are the QA agents, the testing agents. They will actually test everything and make sure everything is good. And you can have a back and forth with that agent to make sure that things are working well. So my suggestion is try out these new tools. I am genuinely saying our customer support agent took us 2.5 days to build. It's an entire suite of customer support agent integrated with God knows how many things. When even AI did the integrations, I was so shocked to see that. It actually looked at the internet, found ways to integrate, and did the integration. It sounds ridiculous, but it's gotten to that extent now. So you wouldn't need to code unless you are refactoring old code, then you still need to code, or you're building something that is technically quite complex to build, then you need to code. One last thing, a good developer will still build a better product.
On the quality of the products, there are a couple of questions. One is from Orestes. They say, how do you integrate evaluation in the process? And if I can add, my comment is that when I work with AI, trying to build other AI, my experience that is, of course, less than yours, is that it tends to narrow focus. And there are a lot of misunderstanding of the domain of the problem. So what is your experience around the evaluation and in general of the output of agent building agents?
DJ will be a better person to answer this because he's been testing this with multiple such use cases. But I think for almost all normal use cases, it's doing a very good job because what we've really done is we've not left it to zero shot. What that means is it is not trying to think through what it is. It's actually going and researching on the internet how these executions actually happen, what is supposed to A. And B, we've also given it the knowledge of every tool and every component in a certain way. That is a data science work we have done behind the scenes, which is what AI is. So combining those two things, it is actually able to do a very good job at putting these agents together. But then there will be circumstances when it will probably not do a good job, and you may have to give it repeated instructions, or you might even get frustrated with it and say, you know what, you don't know what you're doing, and I'll build it myself. That will probably happen once in a while. But I think it's still better than having to go find out 130 different libraries and build everything yourself.
One of the questions that came up from the attendees as we prepared the session is, what about tools like Make.com? Can you explain what it is and how it relates to Adya in comparison to other tools like Zapier and A10 that people might have heard about?
When I was showing that slide, or rather you were showing it, I said that there are tools that allow you to create the workflows, but you can't actually granularly change those workflows. This is an example of DJ actually creating an entire marketing workflow on Make. Make actually is like an integration platform. It has many tools. It's not letting you customize anything on those tools, or it's not letting you customize anything beyond the integration or the connection between the different tools. So you are basically taking those components and you're putting it together. But the time it takes to learn these tools is phenomenal. Essentially, the first part of that video was building an entire solution on Make. And DJ's he likes to say he doesn't understand technology at all. But the fact is he's an insider and also he's quite smart about these things. He spent about 45 days trying to learn Make and literally was awake till 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning every day because I used to get messages from him at 3 a.m. And sometimes if I was awake, I would respond to him saying that, okay, he struggled really hard with it because it was very difficult to understand. And I understand why, because you have to understand every tool, you have to understand the hacks. If something's not working, what is your plan B? How do you make those connections? So there's no control on those companies. That's the biggest problem. But otherwise, Make is brilliant. N10 is brilliant. They give users the ability to create workflows, which you can actually use to run different things. But you can't use those workflows for two things. A, you can't use those workflows for scale, which means that if you're building a tool, you can't plug in a Make workflow or an N10 workflow underneath it because you have no control on those workflows. And second is, if you're using it for a company, you have to be very careful that it is doing the right thing because there are influencer videos that it does well, but the fact is it actually requires a lot of customization. Whereas Something that if you now play the video, you'll see in the second half of the video, what we did was we gave an example of how the same workflow can be created in less than half the time on the Adya platform, because we're actually giving you control. Look at that. You can choose which components, the entire granularity of those components and how you're connecting them. So there's a little bit more work to think through if you want to, or you can actually go to AI and say, build it for me. It'll build it for you. So it's more intuitive and more, also the data integrations far better when it comes to the Adya platform compared to the Make Studio. But otherwise, I feel Make is extremely good at what it does. It allows individuals to build workflows quickly that they will be able to then reduce their personal work, etc. I think better platforms are coming though. Platforms like us, which don't require you to do that workflow.
In our official time, we have time for maybe one more question, Fabio. I don't know if you have.
Yes, I think the $1 million question is the one from Theos that says, can you pick up an existing product like SAP or Salesforce as an example and think how long it will take to rebuild this from scratch? The underlying idea is, of course, with all this improvement in software development, can people remake the big software products that are existing today?
So Theos, is it like one developer building it, or is it like a team building it? Like, what are you envisaging here? And
either way, up to you. And by the way, there's a whole range. SAP is probably the high complexity. I don't know how to measure this, right? But can be also a feature, maybe. Just to give examples of things that we are familiar with and think about how one would build them quickly.
So I'll try to give a very realistic answer to Theos's question. I think you could essentially build the components really fast now. Supposing you're building a customer support side, calling side, a sales side, or a CRM side. These things can be built really easily because you already know exactly what you're doing. And you can literally tell the agent, I want to rebuild SAP, or I want to rebuild this part of SAP. And it will go to the internet and find out all the components and what it has to do and build the requirement document for you. You can even tell it to do something a little bit innovative. All that is very easy to do now. Where I think it fails is two places. A, if you're really trying to scale that architecture, yeah, you're not going to get that done by AI yet. You will still need a good architect, a solutions architect to think through the data orchestration, the architecture, etc. And the second place where it will not do very well is for thinking through the various integrations, etc. So if you've told it exactly what integration where to do, it'll do it very well. But if you've not told it exactly how the integrations will work, yeah, it's going to mess it up. So these things haven't yet fully sorted out. So I would say an AI developer is probably, with the right instructions, about 90% of SAP it can do by itself. But AI developer without the right instructions, maybe 50%.
So we're at time. Shayak has to catch a plane. He's on his road show. I won't go through this slide, but I think what we've heard today is that agents are real. Adya is a contender to supply a large range of solutions for companies. And we got a preview before it's actually live in the US and even available to everybody. Thanks a lot to Shayak and DJ and the team for putting this together. Thanks for everybody that joined. I know that we covered a lot of territory. You might want to watch it again to get into all the details. So thanks again, guys.